cents. Once they took out the FICA for Social Security, so when they started compiling, they go back and find my, so that counted. It's not how much you put in, it's how many quarters you have. So they found me another quarter so I could retire, so I get my Social Security. So, but I stayed there for 5 years. And I met a man there who had his grandfather's wife on his uniform. And since you're some teachers, I wanted to say that to you. It's important to tell these young people that, everything is important. And get them to do what we did in this movie, have that young man interview his grandfather, discovered his granddaddy was a soldier whose name was on the wall. His name was in the cemetery out there at home, first of all. And then later we discovered that it was on a wall of a monument here in Washington. So this is something you can do at every school. Everybody, Paul Root starts out with a very innocent thing. He said, every soldier deserves a headstone. So he goes to the cemetery, start placing headstones, he finds that there are 23 African Americans buried out there. They don't even know where they're buried. The records just say they were buried there. And so he hit his class, did research on them, and then the cemetery allowed them to take a section over there and put these headstones up. And so now it's a tourist attraction for people who want to know more about the history of that town. It's a very interesting piece of history, because most of these people were not, most of these soldiers who were buried there were not born even in Ohio. They were born in Kentucky, most of them in other states. They came to Ohio after the war was over to practice their newfound freedom. And so they were living there, and they died there and are buried there at the cemetery. Very sick story. So anyway, so I'm going to stop there. You've been sitting here for a long time. See if anybody has any questions for me about the exhibit or about what you saw in the video. If not, anybody? Okay, that's all right. Okay, well, that's good. What the exhibit is called, do they still have a few minutes to go through the exhibit?
Yeah.
He's in charge.
How you doing, Justice?
Okay, do they still have a few minutes?
Yeah, they have time to go through the exhibit.
Okay, well then let me give you a little orientation for the exhibit. It starts here, we start with slavery, the beginning of slavery. We start with these tribes in Africa that are fighting each other in these tribal wars. There are tribal wars going on over there still today. And the victor wins, and to the victor belongs the spoils. The spoils get sold off as I was told that there were no jails and no insane asylums in Africa during those days. So, if they caught you for something bad, you get sold out of there. You never came back again. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? We keep people in jail now. It costs $50,000 a year to keep somebody in jail. They just sold them off to the United States. Anyway, so they end up fighting each other. This goes on for 250 years, so it's hard to imagine. And it's hard to imagine that as a total explanation for what went on there. But anyway, so we show some of these people who are being brought here. Some of them are educated, and some of them are not. Some of them well, why don't we go over and start this tour?